Hey guys, so Derek just got back from the Pokemon discussion or developer discussion a few hours ago.
Yep.
And you may have seen our live tweets about the conference, and a lot of interesting details really came out of it. And so I thought we'd sit down with Derek and discuss what happened exactly over the course of 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Not our discussion, but how long the thing took.
Yeah, thankfully we're not going to be spending that much time doing this.
We're going to cover the highlights here, I think.
Yeah, I got my notes, go over what I think are the more important parts, and...
So what is the most important thing, or most important things they announced?
Probably the most important thing they announced is this new player search system, which they shortened to PSS. Basically, it's a constant local wireless or internet connection, which is internet connection is optional.
So it's like the Xbox One. Well, except it's optional.
It's optional, and you don't need it to play. So they're already doing something right. But basically, it's whether you're in the area of somebody else playing DS or in these types of situations, for conferences or conventions, stuff like that, or if you're just on the internet at home or wherever, you'll see a list of people, passers-by they're labeled, saying that who are close to you. And it's even with the internet options, they actually show people from different regions. It's not locked to just your region. So there's a lot of variety there for people you can interact with. Now, everybody that you see that's in your general area is known as a passerby. However, when you do either a single trade or a battle with somebody, they become an acquaintance. Just letting you know that you've actually interacted with this person before. If you do another battle or trade with them again, or even just the other thing, like you battle them first time and then trade with them again, they'll give you the option of becoming their friend.
So it's kind of like, it sounds like Google Plus circles almost. Like they get upgraded automatically too.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really interesting system that I think will make the connectivity a lot better, because I play Pokemon, but I never really did a lot of multiplayer battles just because it never was easy to get into that. But
that's how it all was about for me. See, as soon as my friends stopped playing Pokemon, that's when I stopped playing, because I had no reason to anymore. So it sounds like they're taking a pretty big multiplayer focus with this game.
Yes, at least as far as this whole system is concerned, it's really easy to just pop into a battle wherever you are and challenge somebody or trade a Pokemon. You know, the Pokemon Center where you would have to battle and trade will likely no longer be there. And you can also have favorites with the PSS up to 100. And the other final note that they detailed about it was that the fact that anybody that's already your friend on the 3DS is already a friend in the game.
Now, is there a friend limit in the game?
I didn't see a friend limit, but there is 100. You can only have 100 favorites, and I'm not sure if they're the same thing.
They probably couldn't be, I would guess, because if you have 100 friends, then they'll automatically cap it. You know, on your 3DS, they'll automatically cap it to Pokemon.
Exactly.
Which sounds like it's against what they're going for, kind of.
Yeah.
Were there any other online details or multiplayer features they announced? Well, I saw that you mentioned you can choose the music now in multiplayer matches.
Yes, that was actually, it came out during the Q&A afterwards, because the basic structure of the whole event was the first 20 or so minutes was dedicated to showing pretty much the history of Pokemon and like how they've evolved and all that good stuff and what the tenets are. And then they finally got into showing some details. But we really got the best details out of the Q&A afterwards. And one of which was what was the question? I lost my train of thought going over the
multiplayer music.
The multiplayer music, yes. Somebody asked about the music, and they revealed that you can actually choose what kind of music you have playing when you're battling somebody, which is a nice little touch.
So I wonder if, like, the victor, like in a rematch, they could decide the music and they can choose like their own custom like theme song to pump them up and just destroy their opponent before the match even starts.
That'd be kind of awesome. But
so it sounds like actually a whole lot of interesting details came out during that Q&A portion, much more so than even the main. Like, at least to me, it sounded like that's where most of the details came from, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of details. They introduced a bunch of new Pokemon. They showed actually the opening movie. That'll play whenever you start the system up for the Pokemon Y version. I assume it's the Y version. They didn't actually show it
because you saw the
just
Pokemon?
Because they had Yveltal featured there. They like zoomed all around him and showed him, and then they showed a bunch of new features, including the fact that you can now rail grind on steps, like the step railings. With
like Sonic.
Like Sonic with your skates. They showed that.
And then you get arrested by the local police for.
They didn't show that part. Then they showed you also, along with Go-Goat, you can actually ride on Rhyhorns now.
Only in the city.
No, it wasn't in the city.
Oh, really?
Rhyhorn was not in the city. They showed him riding in a more mountainous region, and then one of the QAs afterward was asking sort of the more details about this, and they revealed that it seems like where you ride the Pokemon is dependent on what kind of it helps you get across terrain. So Rhyhorn specifically is dedicated to getting you across more rocky terrain that apparently you just can't walk on.
Okay, so
we don't have a full picture of it, but it seems like you borrow the Pokemon and use them to get across certain points. And I'm almost wondering if it's all actually the movement with them is automatic.
So, as in you don't have control of them?
You don't have the control, you just ride them.
Well, because it sounds like it kind of fits in with our ideas in the analysis that riding Go-Gurt or Go-Goat was to access like areas of the city you wouldn't normally be able to. So it sounds like there's maybe a running theme throughout, or a running thing throughout the game.
Yeah.
Because they mention there might be more Pokemon you can ride, or
no, there was no indication of what other Pokemon you could ride.
It's not like there isn't precedent for this too, with a swim ability or surf rather.
Yeah, surf.
Which allows you to go through water.
Yeah, any water Pokemon. So, I mean, it all fits. Speaking of what else do we got here? We have. The opening movie also showed all the clothing options, and there seems to be quite a bit.
In terms of customizing your character?
Yes, because they sort of downplay them up to this point, it seemed like. But when they were showing all different screens and how they could customize it, it definitely seems like you'll have a lot of options to how your character will look. Like you can have with no hat, you can have change your hair color more. So I'm wondering if there's like salons where you can like change your hairstyle as well.
So it actually, between that and the benches, it sounds like it's kind of like an Animal Crossing style.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of making it more of introducing like life elements, you know.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. I know some people mentioned in our analysis they thought it looked like you might be able to customize your room too, but they didn't talk about that at all.
No, they didn't talk about that at all. And with the whole, one of the interesting things is that one of the people who asked them a question accidentally got them to reveal that yes, indeed, this is based on France, even though it's about as obvious as you can get.
But they weren't supposed to say that?
They weren't supposed to say that. It just sort of popped out. But they said the theme for it is because the reason they chose France is because it's a place of beauty, and they said that that's one of their themes. So when you think beauty, you think of the customization, the salon, clothing, France,
and it makes you wonder if that ties into the whole potential genetics idea, like trying to create maybe like a beautiful Pokemon, or like a perfect Pokemon. In other words, Yeah. But I'm guessing, did they address a story at all?
No, not at all. I tried to get a little bit out of them with my question, which I asked about the potential team, like the evil team for this one. Didn't really get into that, but they did mention the rival. I asked what kind of rival can we expect? Will it be the other gender, or will it be somebody completely new that we just haven't seen yet? And one of the interesting thing they said was that we'll have many mini rivals, because the theme they're going for is sort of like a world of connectiveness, that nobody's really like mean about being a rival, or like how Gary was a jerk in the original, or that type of thing.
So it kind of seems like this game's like all about just opening it up in all kinds of ways.
Exactly.
With the multiplayer, the multiple rivals. Is that what they're getting at? Yeah.
The way I interpreted their answer was multiple mini rivals. Like They won't show up as quite as often, but you'll get like different ones at different points, and sort of like you'll get as many battles as the normal rival. It's just split up among a bunch of different characters.
Okay.
So it's an interesting idea, different change of pace.
So what would you say was the most surprising thing they announced there or revealed?
Probably the new battle types. We have two new types. One is exclusively wild battles, which is the horde battles, where up to 5 Pokemon can attack your character at your Pokemon at a time. So it's 5 on 1, and I don't know how they're balancing this. It seems the way they balance it is that their Pokemon was level 50, and all the Pokemon that attacked them, which were a bunch of Houndour in the demonstration,
level 10s or something,
were like around level 8, level 10.
Okay.
So it seems like
it kind of averaged, if you add it all up.
Yeah, if you add it all up, that's how it sort of works out. But it still brings in a cool dynamic. You're still getting pounded by these guys because they show like you took out the first one, and then it was just a constant barrage of different attacks from the four Houndowers in this case. But they also made sure to let you know that Horde battles just don't contain the same 5 Pokemon, even though that was the case with the Houndowers. They showed another one where it's like I believe 4 Rhyhorns and a Miltank. You have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to those Pokemon, but
I can make
our wonderful fans do.
Yeah, they got it.
So they'll mix and match as far as what Pokemon attack you.
Now, are these battle types? Are they limited to just trainer battles, or can you? Or are they out on the field?
No, well, the Horde battles themselves are just for wild Pokemon.
Just for wild Pokemon.
There's
okay.
no.
So can you throw like 10 Pokeballs to catch them all at the same time?
I believe you'll be able to catch all 5 of them if you get them weakened enough and catch them that way.
And does that like spend 5 Pokeballs, or like do you just throw like one? Like
well, no, you throw one for each. You have to choose.
So individually, one at a time. Yeah. I see.
Because they've introduced the like taller grass in other games where you take on a double battle and you can capture both of them in one. So this is pretty much just an expansion of that.
Okay, and they're always the same type of Pokemon. You won't like encounter different.
No. It's up to 5 Pokemon
of different types,
and they can be different types.
Okay,
they don't have to be all the same type.
All right.
So, and the other type of battle, which is a trainer battle exclusively, is it seems like anyway, are Sky battles. Which there are specific Sky trainers now that they'll challenge you. And the only way you can actually fight them is if you actually have Pokemon that can meet the criteria, which is either they have to be a flying Pokemon or they have to have the levitate ability. Because they showed one of the new Pokemon, Talonflame, I believe his name was. Sorry, guys. Yes, Talonflame facing off against a Noctowl, and then they showed off his moves and different abilities and showed how since it's a Sky battle, your character is actually looking up at them, so you can sort of get a below perspective. So they were fighting at night, so you actually got to see the stars and the moon and all that. It looked really nice.
So basically, the battles are from your trainer's perspective.
Yes, in this case. So it's like you're looking up and you're watching them do that.
So if there's a water battle, do you like see your trainer drowning, or
I don't know if they'll allow having water battles in the or Sky battles in the water. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, they just to show off the more graphical finesse that this game will have is the fact that time of day and weather will affect what you see during these battles. I mean, they'll have a definite outcome.
Did they talk any more about the weather system? Like, is there a?
They just said weather, so I don't know whether it could be referring to the fact that some Pokemon moves cause it to rain, cause it to snow, cause it to cause a sandstorm.
Right.
So it may be in reference to that. I more likely think there might be a weather system in this one, but we'll see.
All right. Now we also got confirmation of a few things that we had theorized about in our very own analysis. And we should probably start off with the biggest one, and perhaps most controversial one, being Fairy type confirmed, right?
Yes, Fairy type is confirmed. Somebody asked them what made them decide to bring in the Fairy type, and they gave a pretty clear answer, is that it's specifically designed to balance the Dragon type, which they felt was becoming far too powerful. Because Dragon, they didn't really worry about balancing the Dragon, because in the first game there were only 3 Dragon types in the whole game.
Right.
And so, but over the course of all the different generations, we've gotten many more Dragon types. So it was needed. A balance was needed, and they didn't want to nerf the Dragon type, make it weaker. So what they decided was the better option is to introduce the Fairy type and make it weak to that. So
I see.
They had some rebalancing, and I know some fans might be a little worried about this, but some of the old Pokemon are going to be Fairy types: Gardevoir, Marill, Jigglypuff, correct?
Clefairy, is it? Or no?
I think it was Jigglypuff, maybe Clefairy. Clefairy's probably going to.
Wait, aren't we? Is it Clefairy? Well, let's go with that.
Yeah.
In the interest of time.
In the interest of time, yes. They are being reclassified. Which
Chansey?
I have. No, not Chansey.
Okay, all right.
Chansey.
I think it was Clefairy.
Yeah,
or not Clefairy, but
it's either
Jigglypuff.
Clefairy or Jigglypuff.
Yeah.
One of those two. And of course Sylveon. And so it just makes sense.
What do you think of that?
I have no problem with it. I think it's a great idea.
A lot of people are going to want your head for that, I think.
They can have it, but it's so frazzled right now.
Not yet. We got to do some more analysis. Then they can have your head.
Yeah, there you go. But no, I like it. People had some great theories to what it could otherwise be, but the fairy just made the most sense to me, and that's what it turned out to be.
I think it's kind of cool to see a new type after all these years.
Yeah, they think they mentioned it was like the first new type in like 8 years or something like that.
Just pretty long.
Yeah, it's maybe even longer than that. I can't remember exactly, but it's been quite a long time since we have a new type, and I don't think it'll hurt the game at all.
I don't see how it could. Yeah,
no, it'll be just fine.
Well, and it sounds like they confirmed something else too. We thought, which was you have A-way directional movement now.
Yes,
which I mean, I guess we kind of teetered and tottered on. Like
we thought it was more like completely free roaming movement, but with 8-way directions, that's pretty much the same thing.
It's pretty close. Yeah,
it's people have no problems with this. It'll quicker movement, more diverse movement.
Did they give any reasoning like why they did that, or any insight into it at all, or did they just say like this is it, this is how it is?
Yeah, no. It was just this is how it is. They kind of try to explain, but basically it was just the fact that ease of movement for the player.
Right.
They didn't want to because it's a beginner's RPG when it started out, and they wanted to keep it as simple as possible.
I think it should. I mean, I think it'll help him make it feel a little bit more natural. Just because like being stuck to that grid.
It's the control pad too.
Yeah, that's true as well.
The circle pad is the big reason they probably switched to that because
it makes a lot of sense.
Makes it feel much more natural. They also talked a little bit about the Pokemon-amy, which was also introduced in the Nintendo Direct.
Go on.
Pokemon-amy.
Okay.
Basically, imagine Nintendogs with Pokemon.
Okay.
And it shows you can pet your Pokemon.
Do you take a picture on a walk every day?
I don't know that, but you can pet them. You can give them like a high five, and you can feed them different food. And
you can high five your Pokemon.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Like you put your little stylus or your finger there, and they'll like pop it.
Yeah, that's adorable.
So, but the interesting about the Pokemon-amy is that it seems like they said that interacting with the Pokemon here will enhance them in battle, which makes me think that this is the form of EV training that they were talking about. That because they said they were going to make it a little bit more visible and not quite as tricky for regular players, not the super advanced ones that do go beyond to make a really powerful team.
So, what do you think of that? But my gut reaction, I haven't played a Pokemon game all the way through in a decade, but it seems kind of like a gimmick, like something that's like so divorced from the core gameplay that just seems kind of tacked on.
Well, Pokemon's had a lot of gimmicks between like the movie studio, the beauty contest, stuff like that.
Red and Blue didn't have anything like that.
No,
right?
it's after that they started introducing these things to make it give you a little bit more variety.
Right.
So it doesn't feel like a gimmick, especially if it connects to the EV training. If it does, this will become an extremely popular feature. For fans, especially the hardcore fans, but there's also like stuff for the people that aren't quite into EV training. Like they're saying they have mini games available. They didn't show any off, but there will be various types of interaction. But Pokemon-amy might be a lot more important than most people originally thought.
Okay.
But trying to think here. If we have
any other major details?
I'm trying to see if we got any more major points. We have a few more Pokemon confirmations. We have Skrelp, which is pretty much a kelp Pokemon that's poison in water. Clauncher, just like a sort of lobster type Pokemon that's just pure water. Talonflame, which is fire flying, which is evolution of Fletchling, which we already saw. Vivillon,
which confirms something else we thought in our analysis.
Yes, exactly. It has a couple of evolutions. I'm not sure if it's the final evolution or the mid-evolution. I'm tending to think Talonflame is the final evolution just by its design. Vivillon is some sort of bug-type Pokemon. And Noivern, which is that bat-like Pokemon, is a dragon, and I think flying, but I didn't quite hear it. I didn't quite get the note, but he's a dragon type at least, at the very least. Other little interesting thing that we did not tweet is the fact that the game will come with 7 language options available right from the start. Both English, Spanish, French, Italian, Japanese, and Korean are all right there.
Interesting.
So no matter what region you get, you can play. Like if you get the Japanese version, you can play in English. Not that there's any point to it because the game all releases around the world on October 12th.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird thing, but
yeah, it's interesting that they introduced this when we got an actual worldwide release, because I'm sure a lot of people, if they had that option with the Japanese release, they'd really make it a lot more appealing for them. But the fact that they probably did translate it worldwide allowed it to be a lot easier to institute this sort of policy. Let's see here. Battle speed seems to be quite quick. Very dynamic camera. Looks great. Doesn't take long. Because that was always the problem with Pokemon Stadium, is that it just you
had to watch animations every time.
Exactly. They drag.
You can turn them off though.
Exactly. But the animations are quick and look good. They should not get old.
Okay.
They're keeping it very much in line. Another thing we already confirmed with one of our tweets was that there is just one save file, and that doesn't seem like it'll ever change. They actually said that they prefer to have just one save file.
Well, right, because you have to buy more copies if you want to have other people play your game.
Exactly. So, I mean, that doesn't bother me as much. They're also looking into ways so people can transfer their DS Pokemon to the to X and Y, because there's not really any good trading option available between the DS and 3DS. So they're not quite sure how they're going to do that yet.
Yeah.
They're looking into it.
So, quick question, getting back to the one save file. I wonder why they don't do something like Animal Crossing, where you can have like multiple people living in the same world, being all acting as their own trainer.
I'm guessing just file size will get big, because I have to assume that this thing is so stuffed full with content, between having 3D models for over 650 Pokemon.
They can fit it in.
All the trainers, all the artwork. They mentioned that there is. Hold on. In Japanese, there are 800,000. Japanese characters in the game. The English version has 1.4 million words in the script.
Wow.
So the game is just absolutely huge. So that's probably a big reason for the one save file, is because they just try to stuff the games full as much as they can.
Also money.
That too.
They could fit it in if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Any other?
There's really not much else to say.
Well, in that case,
the bike returns, and there's a couple other basic stuff, but it's all just a lot of nice confirmations, a lot of stuff that looks really fun for this version, and it seems like it's going to evolve the series.
So what's your overall impression of the conference? Are you more excited than you were going in? You were already pretty excited.
I was already pretty excited, but this is just, the more I hear about it, the more it's solid it seems. My one big regret, and a lot of people's big regret as we were leaving, because we realized we didn't remember to ask this question. Nobody asked about HMs, and how they'll be implemented this game.
Do your question, Derek.
I know. I asked about the rivals. That's my fault. But
but then if you had asked about the HMs, you'd be like, oh, why didn't I ask about the rivals?
Exactly. So, I mean, especially, I really think they're going to be downplayed this game, especially since showing the whole riding Pokemon to get over rocky terrain, because that would be an HM, or maybe riding is an HM. It's hard. It's impossible to tell right now.
Wait, would that be like an HM on your trainer, so he rides and Pokemon?
No, well, like you ride. I don't know.
Right, no, I got
you. You put on your Pokemon and you have a ride ability. I don't understand. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
And what was the general vibe? Like, was there a vibe you could sense there? Like, were they all Pokemon fans there? Did they seem excited by the news?
They were definitely Pokemon fans. I mean, it was pretty subdued because it was just a very subdued.
Yeah, I mean, it's for the press. And it's a very very small amount of press
like
too.
You could always tell when something important was going on, because the whole room would fill with typing,
right,
and note taking and whatnot. But people were very excited. Just a really great presentation. A lot of the information we got out of it was actually from the Q&A. So I kind of wish that part had been a little bit longer.
Right.
But seeing the footage, seeing the opening, they showed a little bit about how they went ahead and designed the 3D models. Just a really solid conference that showed that what they're trying to do with X and Y.
And you said the Pokemon sounds are different now too, right?
Yes, at least in the Pokemon and me. I don't know if it spreads out otherwise, but Pikachu was saying Pikachu. And all the other ones, the sound effects for the Pokemon did not sound like the tinny Game Boy sounds anymore. They felt like a more natural growl.
But was it still, because in the trailer for our analysis, we pointed out that Go-Go sounded...
sounded like the old one.
Right.
So I'm not quite sure how that fits in. Maybe some of them were more enhanced than others, or maybe when it's like outside of the Pokemon they don't have those sounds, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, to be honest.
They seem a little bit odd,
but I think they're definitely focusing on like the sound quality here, because they actually also mentioned that with the music, for the first time they can actually, what they compose, they can put right into the game.
Okay.
They don't have to change it at all to make it fit and make it lower the quality. So the sound, and what I heard from the soundtrack is very good. So just a really solid package overall.
All right, sounds good. Well, I guess we won't have much more on this too soon because it's not playable on the show floor.
It's not playable on the show floor, which is unfortunate, but Pokemon's never really showed up in demo form that often.
And we might have another analysis coming up, right?
We can take a look at the analysis, see if we can find anything else, but I really don't think it...
Probably not too much more there, but we always say that,
and
so...
I did miss one other thing, is the bike returns. That was also shown in the opening sequence. Did I?
Yeah.
Okay. There's so much in here. I got 5 pages worth of notes that I had to condense, but yeah.
I think that's a perfect time to stop this.
They talked a lot.
All right, guys, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for reporting on that, Derek, live at the event. If you guys want, to see more Pokemon news, make sure to visit us on GameXplain.com or on Facebook and Twitter. If there's any more live events, we'll of course tweet it. I don't think there will be, but
not that we're able to get into anyway.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Bye.